Hello and welcome to the Irish Guys podcast. How we doing, fellas?
It's so good.
It's hot, like.
Do you want a wee bit of that? A bit of that there.
Oh.
It's a Saturday. The weather's good outside. We're planning on having a few beers with a few of our mates later on. But first of all, we have a bit of podcasting to do, so it's we're back talking business first, Tom.
Business first, got to make those millions.
It's the first NFL one we're gonna do. We're gonna cover this one first. First NFL one back since the quarantine, lads.
It's good to get back to it, you know.
It's NFL season.
It's NFL season.
And he's done any mock drafts yet? Me and Tom have.
Have you?
Oh, aye.
Oh yeah, it was when the whole shade debacle happened in the fantasy group.
Aye.
Just sort of looked at the app for the first time in a while, so I just.
If you're listening, Shay, you're still on a review for Wavergate.
Wavergate, surely.
Could be 1 year suspension.
He'll definitely not hear this, so we can just say whatever we want.
So it's been obviously a pretty busy off season. We were going to do a pilot build up for like draft and stuff, all that sort of carry on that happened. But obviously with the situation with the lockdown and everything else, we never really got around to it. So we're going to try and recap the NFL off-season moves, draft, all that sort of carry on over this podcast and the next one. We're going to start then. We may as well get into it. We're going to start with the NFC, fellas.
Absolutely.
It's been busy.
Aye.
It's been a busy off-season, lads. There's been a lot of moving and shaking, in my opinion.
Crazy, yeah. Like, I mean, if you're on any social media of any kind, you follow them pages or whatever. It's been blowing up.
It has.
It's been going absolutely buckshy.
A few questions have been answered in regards to what's happening with whom and where.
Definitely.
I suppose.
Well, I've got a pile of notes made, Vesty. You didn't make any notes. At least Tom tried. Tom tried.
Yeah. I did one of the conferences.
So I've got notes made up, and sure, we'll start with my favourite division in the NFC, which is the NFC East.
I don't need notes. Well, what ahead? Where are we going? NFC East then?
And we'll start with the NFC East.
Right, let's
It's
go.
always the most talked about division, so we'll start off there.
Right.
So when I was watching the draft or whatever, I was sort of slagging the Cowboys at least a little bit
Yeah.
with the Amari Cooper pick, and then it sort of realised that the Cowboys have a stacked roster.
The Cowboys are looking formidable this year.
As they always do. I've seen something like the Cowboys have the most Pro Bowl players over the last 10 years, which is a crazy stat considering they've done
Fuck all.
with it. Which I thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like, as you say, they're pretty much stacked. I mean, they've got a very, very decent trio of receivers. They've got Amari Cooper, they've got Michael Gallup, and now they've got CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
So that looks like it's going to be a very interesting trio. And you've got Zeke, who maybe slightly did underperform in certain games and parts of last season compared to his previous seasons. But I believe that Cowboys will be they'll be up there in terms of being relevant, obviously. And the defense, again, last year slightly underperformed to what talent they actually have on it. But they're going to be a threat, I think.
Yeah, well, the what do you call it? They made a few signings here, so they brought in Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy. Obviously, a few lads on the sort of back end of their career or whatever.
Yes.
But they've stouted up that defensive line at least a little bit of a touch there. And I think, what do you call him? Is it Randy Gregory? He was suspended for weed.
No.
I think he's been reinstated now because the weed. There's a large tractor going by. That'll sound good on the audio.
That's
a day for the hay.
It's a day for the hay.
But I think Randy Gregory's suspension's been lifted too, so like their defensive line's looking pretty decent as well.
They brought back your boy Aldon Smith as well.
And he's meant to be getting reinstated too. Like, so there's I know a few of them are a few older fellas now too. Like, but I mean, if they can contribute at least with, if they can all sort of contribute together, they're going to be a pretty formidable front seven there. Like, especially with like Van Der Esch and Jalen Smith as well at linebacker. Like, that front seven's going to be.
I'm a big fan of Van Der Esch.
I like Jalen Smith. I like his speed. But they also brought in Clinton Dix in the secondary. Please don't, Bestie.
I already have that. I've already committed.
You did do that. Clinton Dix is coming. And then obviously they drafted Trayvon Diggs as well. So they lost what do you call him? cornerback.
Byron Jones.
Byron Jones.
Yeah, he went to Miami.
He went to Miami. So
Yeah.
they've lost him.
No, he's away there then, is he?
He's away there, lad. He was looking a
Okay.
bit of a payday.
Uh,
But as always with the Cowboys, there's controversy, and Dak's holding out for a stupidly big contract.
Andy Dalton's just sort of sitting there thinking, well, you know.
Like, this is going to be the thing. They've now got like a crazily deep roster from, the whole way through, and Dak's going to hold out and completely nuke their season.
I know.
I don't know what to think of it anymore. Like he's so unreasonable, whether it's his agent or maybe his own sort of line of thought.
Yeah.
But Jesus Christ, like the money he is expecting, like I mean, I get it. They like held him, and did they not like franchise?
They offered him a franchise. They offered him a franchise tag, but
But
obviously
he
then
refused that.
well, apparently so. Apparently he's going to try and hold out then and see if they offer him a better deal. Like, but
I think if he does hold out over whatever crazy reason, it will break, no doubt about it, break Davy's heart here, because Davy loves the Cowboys.
I hate Jerry Jones and everyone like
Davy, like, see if we're watching NFL Sundays and the Cowboys aren't playing there on Sunday evening, like Davy's actually in bad old form,
He's upset.
The odd time there, Davy might say I might lay low this Sunday, lads, but see if the Cowboys are playing, Davy's there, like.
Jerry Jones could do one.
And Davy is Davy's in great form whenever the Cowboys are playing,
I'm in great form when the Cowboys are losing, Vesty.
It's all a lie. He
Jerry
loves them.
Jones wins 2 Super Bowls with a head coach and then sacks him. He's a good lad. So obviously then the Eagles off a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, their sort of team got a little bit. The defense, even especially in the offense, just stayed perennially injured last year and sort of the year prior or whatever.
It's such a stinker of a year.
They're kind of they had to sort of reload at least a little bit. But then again, they had to move some pieces around. Like, but the drafted Jalen Hurts, which was an interesting one. Like,
I like that.
yeah,
Like I love that.
You said about liking Jalen Hurts going forward. Like,
Yeah. Like he was my what was it?
sort of
Undervalued or like sort of
dark horse or something
Yeah.
pick for that one we did a while back.
I think that was the quarterback of the future.
Future quarterbacks.
The Eagles were a strange one last year because there's a lot of injuries and stuff, and it felt like they were playing with 4th and 5th string receivers, and they were sort of running with a committee running back at times, and it just felt that they were
but they did
very
well
strange.
enough for like a team that was so depleted. Like I mean, the Eagles' season wasn't
It wasn't a
as
total write-off.
horrific
Yeah.
as one might think, given all the injuries and stuff.
There's cars and tractors and stuff outside. No, what do you call it? I suppose the backup quarterback job is no more important, or is not any less important anywhere else in the league than Philly. Like, and Nick Foles and the like of it. Like, Hurts could, Wentz stays injured. Like, Wentz does be injured quite a bit, and if they're what do you call it? If he goes down, they do need some sort of backup option in there.
True. He's so injury prone. Like I mean, I like Carson Wentz. Like I have him on my fantasy team, but I mean, he's such a liability at this point. Like I mean, I don't doubt his talent. I wouldn't knock him for that.
Right.
But certainly his durability is just it's very shady at the moment.
Like even last year, he played obviously the majority of the season. I think he played all the season, didn't he? But
he went
still
down.
didn't look like
I think he
100%
went
healthy.
Yeah, like he went down insanely early
Uh-huh.
in that playoff game. I think I'm not sure who it was against.
Can't mind now,
It might have been Seattle. I'm thinking it's maybe Seattle,
I can't remember.
but I'm not sure.
Can't remember.
But like I mean, they give him like a maxed out contract as well. So I mean,
The talent's definitely there, but it's one of them people that like, it's like when you seen Ben get hit, it was like stuff never mattered. But when you see every time you see Carson Wentz get hit, you just sort of like be like, oh, every time he doesn't get up, like he gets hit and he comes up clean. It never seems to happen. It's always coming up holding something.
yeah.
When you are going to get hit. So I suppose it's
He's that season they did win the bowl, and he was playing that season.
Yeah.
He was outrageously good.
nah.
Yeah.
And then obviously he went down, and they won the Super Bowl with Foles. But since he's come back,
You're not going to go T-Vesty.
aye,
Right. Okay.
it's warm out there. Since he's
Yes, he's got a goatee. Sorry, go on ahead. You're talking about Carson Wentz. We've had a few beers, people.
because I am the goat. I have a goatee. No, since he came back after that year, after they won the bowl and he played, he just didn't look. Obviously, he was still carrying a bit of a niggle, and then when he obviously played last year, he just looked very. I don't know. He just didn't look like 100%, as you said earlier, and I don't know if it's maybe due to the lack of weapons and that they had around him with a few injuries.
Well,
like
Jeffrey was just hurt all the time.
I know Zach Ertz is his favorite target man, but still, I would say this season, if they have Wentz hopefully fully healthy, you would expect hopefully to see some of that old Wentz you've seen. But if you didn't see it, you would start to ask a few questions.
Well, they're hoping that D-Jack will be back and healthy. Obviously, D-Jack still at 32 years of age or whatever the hell he is still an absolute speedster. So he's back. They also drafted, I think, Jalen Reagor. I think that was a first round draft pick. Very fast also. So they've got Carson a few more options, and then they seem to have sort of settled with the whole Miles Sanders thing. Although Dougie P is a fond of a committee running back situation, but Sanders does look like he'll be the lead back there. They also added Darius Slay.
I like that.
That's a good pick.
I like that.
Ronald Darby was getting burned last year, on the secondary there, and they needed a bit more help. And Slay is, I don't think he's like a legit shutdown corner, but he will. He's better than Ronald Darby. Ronald Darby
upgrade anyway.
Yeah, that secondary was getting torched last year. They also brought in Nickel Roby Coleman as well, so he's more of like a slot sort of corner. But I mean, they've at least got a little bit more help. They've got a bit younger, basically. They sort of revamped the team at least a wee bit. I suppose we'll move on to the Giants. The Giants just don't trade back in drafts and just make the selection every single time. But they're trying to draft an O-line basically for Daniel Jones there. They've they drafted Lemieux, I can't remember, and then was it Andrew Thomas as well. So they've got a bit of O-line help, so that'll obviously help Saquon. Obviously, the O-line's been
horrific,
pretty bad, and if you protect and give a young quarterback at least a little bit more time, wins should come a lot easier. And then if you've got good O-line play with Saquon, like a back like Saquon Barkley,
and Daniel Jones wasn't completely a dud. He sort of came out of the box and was a bit of a surprise. I definitely questioned them. They took him with a 6th pick a couple of years ago, I think. But I definitely questioned that. But he hasn't been too bad now. I mean, the Giants have a lot of cap room as well, as far as I'm aware. They could. I don't think that they're going to challenge in that division yet. I don't think they're ready.
No, they're a few years away, aren't they?
They're a wee bit back. They drafted McKinney. He's a safety. He played for Alabama.
Yeah, I like Xavier
as well. So they've got a couple of good safeties. They have, isn't it Jabril Peppers and McKinney as well now. So I think they've got a decent enough safety pairing.
Yeah.
And they sort of shifted out a few players. Didn't they shift at the end of last year? Jack Rabbit, Janoris Jenkins, they shifted him down to New Orleans. So they've at least got rid of some of the old pieces there. I think they're loading up like a wee touch, at least to try and challenge for the division in the near future. The Cowboys and the Eagles are definitely going to be the two teams that probably duke it out again this year in that division.
When you look at it, certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Certainly come back a few years ago when they blew it up. Actually, they really did blow it up properly. Getting rid of Snacks Harrison a year before. That'll be 2 years ago probably. And then obviously getting rid of Odell, and they got rid of a few other players shortly after that and during that time. And no doubt about it, they've probably got the best running back in the league. Probably do have the best running back in the league. And if you give that man an O-line and you get your quarterback, protection, get a good, decent few weapons around him, 3 years time they could be relevant enough.
Well, this is one thing I sort of wanted to touch on. I didn't know if I was going to touch on this or the next one. The balance of power has so many tractors. The balance of, you farmer bastard. The balance of power has sort of, as far as depth of strong teams, has been in the NFC for quite some time. But with the Patriots, win 3 bowls in the last 10 years or whatever, you sort of always thought even like Denver they got their hands in a bowl and stuff as well. AFC teams have won the Super Bowl quite a bit, but the NFC has had the way more stronger teams, the amount of them basically. Like you've had like the Seahawks, the Saints, the Falcons, Carolina had a run, Vikings. You know, there's been a lot of good teams, but there's going to be a switch here at some point. Like the AFC seems to have got ahead on their rebuild. A lot of the younger quarterbacks are going to be in the AFC. Going forward, I know that some of the NFC teams have started rebuilding as well. Giants obviously being one of them in that. But when you look at the likes of like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, now Joe Burrow's over there in the AFC, there is younger quarterbacks being drafted over there now. So I think that maybe sometime soon in the next couple of years, especially when the likes of Brady and stuff leaves the NFC, there's going to be a flip where the AFC might be the dominant conference. Like. But I think the Giants are a wee bit of a ways away yet. Like as far as challenging for the division.
I don't think they're in. I don't think we're in any danger of seeing the Giants make it to the playoffs anytime soon.
No, it could be a few years. Like, last but not least in the NFC East is the Redskins, and my pick for the most underrated defense of the year, and maybe they're not underrated, but Ron Rivera can coach a good defense. He's now there. He left Carolina as the head coach, so he's now up in Washington. But they've got a nice defensive core there. Hey?
I actually have always sort of liked the Redskins. Like, I mean, not even just, what's going on at the moment, like, but just like in, recent years and whatnot. Like, I mean, they're hardly like a great team or whatnot, but they've got like a lot of nice wee set pieces and everything in there.
I think they're going quietly about their business. Nobody's taking a look at them, but they're sort of there thinking
nobody's worried about them.
They can't even shafted a wee touch because they had their bad run and then they were like, right, we're going to get our quarterback of the future, and everybody knows that you need that to be competitive in the NFL or whatever. And they drafted RG3 that year. I think it's maybe about 10 years ago now. They got RG3 in or whatever, and it was like, right, that's going to be obviously that didn't turn out. RG3 got hurt, all that there. So they've kind of been in the doldrums ever since, sort of, flicking about. They had Alex Smith. They had Case Keenum on the roster last year as well. He got moved. Alex Smith's still there, but at 36, 37, I think, whatever age he is now, he probably isn't. They're probably going to move forward with Haskins. But Ron Rivera can coach good defense. Carolina's defense for the years that he was there was always right and decent, like Luke Kuechly and all leading it as well. Julius Peppers and that. But they've got a decent wee defense there. They brought in Kendall Fuller. They did get Ronald Darby. He stayed in division there. He moved
from the Bears. Kendall Fuller, was it?
Kendall Fuller was he not Chiefs? Maybe
I think maybe played for the Bears. Anyway,
sorry, you could be right there.
I'm not. I just remember. I think maybe there was a Fuller played for the Bears there. Maybe it was. But anyway, it's irrelevant anyway. But I went ahead.
They brought in Ronald Darby from the Eagles, who definitely I think I burnt him quite a bit last year. But I don't think he's quite small. Ronald Darby. I think he's maybe only 5'10". I think. So, like, against the number one receiver, maybe if you were matched up like a Julio, he's more of maybe sort of take a secondary receiver, take somebody that's maybe more likely to be in the slot or something. He's not a bad corner, but he did get burned quite a lot last year. They drafted Montez Sweat, was it last year, I think? And
last year, yeah.
They had De'Aaron Payne a couple of years ago, and De'Aaron Payne's just a wrecker in the middle. He's a massive human being. I think he played for Alabama. And then, obviously, this year they drafted Chase Young as well. So that front seven of the Redskins there. There's a guy's name and I can't pronounce it. It's like Ioannidis it's nearly like Leonidas, but it's an I at the start of it. Can't pronounce it. Don't know how to pronounce it. But he plays on the offensive or in the defensive line as well. So that front seven that Washington have there is going to be decent. They've Lanton Collins as a safety as well. So they've got a decent enough secondary with a real stout front seven.
When you look at it though, in fairness to them, they are a team that get badly hit. But I know a lot of teams get injury hits, but they've been quite unlucky because they had, he's probably way past it now with his injury record, but Jordan Reed was obviously an absolute stud, but now he looks like he's never going to be able to keep any momentum going. Darius Gase is a bad luck. And I don't know if that man's going to...
Trent Williams as well, too. Trent Williams held out as well. He had a few injuries as well.
Trent Williams as well. And I know it's probably not the plan of the future, but Alex Smith, that man's a very stable, safe quarterback.
Yeah. I think he's done though, is he not?
Yeah, I've seen him out throwing passes recently, but
really,
I mean, horrific injury. Like they had to bring in like people or like a surgeons that were like war surgeons or something or army surgeons that had dealt with that level of injury.
I seen this video, lads, and it was just sort of like it was quite graphic. It showed like whatever they were doing with like that injured leg of his, and
probably like skin grafts and all too.
My God, lads, it's not something that you expect anyone to come back from. Like.
I think the Redskins are still a ways away too. They're probably the worst team in the division, but that defense could be really good. And if they try and run the ball, I know Gase hasn't been healthy and stuff.
Is AP on for another year?
I think AP's still there, lad. There's gonna have to be a cut there somewhere. I think somebody's gonna get cut. Probably AP. Like I think they had a guy Bryce Love as well, didn't they?
They did, but he was out all last year because I think he got injured during like training camp.
That's another thing they had, like a weird.
Their running backs have no luck whatsoever.
Chris Thompson as well. He's like a pass catching back.
I think he left, lad. I think he's gone. He's away to where did Jay Gruden end up, lad? I should have this in my notes. I maybe do later on, but I think he's gone. So, but if they'd run the football and play good defense, it could be a wee bit of an awkward old team. Like they could maybe pick up. I don't think that they're going to make the playoffs or anything, but they're a good defense. They've got Terry McLaurin, and they're going to see what Haskins is this year. They're going to see what Haskins is.
I really like Terry McLaurin.
You love Terry McLaurin.
I love Terry McLaurin.
I have him if you want him.
Let's talk after.
We'll move on to the NFC South because there's a crap load in this division. Here we go. So obviously we'll start off with the Saints because the Saints didn't change much. The Saints, I think the Saints have went sort of. They've just stayed stand pat, and they're just going to try and. This is going to be Drew Brees' last year. I think they've sort of let that slip a wee bit, and they're just going to try and run it back, go again, sort of thing.
Do you think is Drew sort of there last running and just going to say, look, Jameis, if you're here next year, this is how you throw the ball without getting picked?
Possibly, lad. There's this thing going around like Taysom Hill's going to be the starting quarterback for the Saints going forward, and like I know that Sean Payton's an offensive genius, but that man's thrown like 20 something passes in his career, and he's like 28 or 29.
Yeah.
And they did pay him, but he's a gadget. Like I mean, I can't see them. They've given him a 2-year deal, I think, and they give him maybe like 17 million, maybe possibly.
Well, where's Bridgewater away?
Bridgewater's in Carolina, so he stayed in division, lad. That's an interesting one. We'll definitely
they only give Jameis a 1-year deal as well, so that's probably just sink or swim.
It's going to be Drew can't throw the deep ball like he used to, and Jameis definitely can. So you might see Drew maybe come out for plays and stuff like that. I don't know. It's going to be Drew's last year, and they're going to try and just run it back one more time and see what happens. But I can't see Taysom Hill being the quarterback of the future for the New Orleans Saints. Like I can't see it. I
was saying this last year. They had a tough enough year despite where they ended up. Like they're such a quality team.
Yeah.
Probably.
But they can't beat the Vikings.
Shut up.
You like that there, Clive? Do you?
Oh, he most certainly.
I know you're listening.
He most certainly doesn't like that. But no, they had a tough year last year because Drew was hurt, and then
Kamara was hurt too. Kamara was banged up.
Kamara was not firing all cylinders last year. That man was not slippy and slimy as he always is.
He was very human last year. Very human.
Michael Thomas was still the freak that he always is. But on defense, they've eventually got. I don't know if he's gone now, but I think they got. Was it Jenkins was in the corner?
Jack Rabbit in there.
Flipping Eli Ability Apple as I call him.
Yeah,
like he was such a liability for them. Lattimore obviously is your main guy in corner there, but anybody that was on Eli Apple, that's just where they exploited the Saints. Probably worked out very good for the. I don't know if he even played against the Vikings that time. Probably in the division, maybe not.
Can't mind that.
But in terms of some games, he was definitely targeted.
They've sort of stand pat. They cut Laurie Warford, who's I think he was right guard for them, and they kept Anders Pete. And I've always thought that Laurie Warford was a better guard than Anders Pete was, but I don't understand. They drafted a guy called Cesar Ruiz who can play center and guard. So nothing much there. I always thought Warford was good. I was actually messaging Clive back and forth. I was like, the Vikings should sign Laurie Warford if he's still available at this point. It's the 30th of May. I'm not sure if he still is. I can't remember. The one sort of decent wee acquisition they brought in Emmanuel Sanders.
That's
from
nice
the Niners. Emmanuel Sanders is like a consummate pro, a really good route runner, and just like a real professional. Like
safe hands.
Pairing him maybe in somewhat like of a slot role because the legs have gone slightly, but great hands, a good solid receiver.
That's
I think that's a good matchup. They are sort of just pushing the chips to the middle and trying to win one.
he very nearly had a fairy tale Super Bowl as well.
Yeah.
After moving to San Fran, and he had some nice games for them.
There's not much left in him, but I mean, if you can give you like a little bit of slot receptions and stuff like that there, and being paired obviously with Michael Thomas, it'll not be bad for him.
He's been there, like he's won a bowl with Denver, so like he's a good player to bring on to a team that's ready for a final farewell, if you like, with Drew in the team. Like so, that's a nice addition to have. You got Michael Thomas, who's obviously the star stud, and you've got a man maybe in the slot like him. Absolutely great.
And he's went from one good place to another. He could end up with that fairy tale ending.
Aye, he could. So nothing really happened in Tampa.
No. There's not much to talk about there.
Relatively
Not much
quiet
to
there.
Aye. So obviously, they went and got Tom Brady. It's out Tampa Bay now. Like. Tampa Bay.
Well, I was thinking about this during the week because I know we were chatting about doing this today, and I was thinking about the Brady thing. And it was the whole big scenario last year. It will be his final year. He'll just keep renewing the 1 year with New England and stuff. But I think the way I look at it is that if you look at New England, they've got a very good defense, as proved last year, but the offensive weapons are starting to wane a wee bit, and you sort of question if that can they upgrade in that going forward in the the near so future. I think Brady wants to get paid before he goes, which is fair enough.
I think he wants more rings, but
well, I like the sound of that there. I don't question that either, but I think he obviously wants to get paid because fair paid him. He's a team player. He took in order for New England to do well, he took lesser money over them years.
After everything he's done, he does deserve that bag. He deserves that kind of money, and I think that $50 million, that's totally guaranteed.
I'm not entirely sure. That might be. I haven't looked in this contract.
I'm near enough sure all that money's guaranteed.
But one thing I will say, even before Gronkowski, that's another thing. Gronkowski also was traded over to the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
But that man is going to have two offensive studs.
Chris Godwin,
probably the best duo.
My guy, I love Chris Godwin.
Maybe the best talented duo, debatable enough, but they are absolutely outstanding receivers, and I think that man's thinking, I'm going to have so much fun, and Gronk down the middle. You kidding? That's going to be very interesting.
Well, they also sort of draft or whatever, they moved up one spot in the draft. Apparently Tampa, I'm just calling it Tampa now. Tampa had a scoop on Joe Staley was retiring for the Niners, and the Niners were up to draft next. Apparently they were trying to move up in the draft from pick number 7 or pick number 8. They wanted to get an offensive lineman. They brought in Tristan Wirfs, but they moved up one spot ahead of the Niners. They were worried about the Niners. Apparently Joe Staley was jacking it in, but they wanted to move up and get Tristan Wirfs.
Yes.
Obviously then the Niners went and got Trent Williams from the Redskins, so they moved up there and got them. But we know about Godwin, Mike Evans. They drafted Keyshawn Vaughn as well, a running back.
I hear he's good. I haven't seen much on him, but I hear
he's a bit of a power back too. It'll be interesting to see what way they sort of work that. He could be in a sort of maybe a James White role, possibly. They'll split between him and Ronald Jones, I reckon. But they've got a tasty wee defense, They've sort of loaded up. And Ndamukong Suh was in Tampa and then came back. He's ring chasing. He signed, I think, maybe a vet minimum.
Missed out in the bowl with the Rams, didn't he?
So, Suh's went back. They've got Vita Vea, Goldston, Devin White from LSU, who's a baller at linebacker, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, yeah, absolutely, and then JPP as well. Jason Pierre-Paul mightn't have much left, but that's a front seven with rotation there that could be. There's a few men there that are definitely past it, but they don't have to be out there all the time. If you're taking out Ndamukong Suh for JPP, at least JPP's fresh, and them two men are definitely past their best, but they'll not have to be on the field all the time. So
you're right in what you say. That when you put it out like that, that's enough talent in the defense to be very relevant.
They drafted Antoine Winfield Jr. Antoine Winfield used to play for the Vikings, was a safety, and his son got drafted by them. I was raging because I was hoping that maybe the Vikings could.
You're upset, weren't you?
He should be playing in Minnesota, but anyway, Tampa are also playing to be in a home Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is in Tampa this year, so
Brady likes that.
Brady stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Aye, Carolina. Interesting little. Carolina have sort of decided to get ahead on the rebuild. They're going to be the first team. Obviously, the Saints of Drew Brees, Matt Ryan at Atlanta, and Tom Brady at Tampa. You know,
It's an easy
Carolina are going to get the first on the rebuild, so they sort of went all in. They drafted all defensive players this year, didn't touch an offensive player.
It was interesting.
The interesting thing for their offense is that they went and got Teddy Bridgewater off of the Saints. Now that sort of correlates with Joe Brady, who was an assistant at New Orleans 2 years ago, then went to LSU this past year, rejigged the entire offense, and LSU's offense won the national title and was like historically good. So then he went. He's now running the offense, obviously, in Carolina, which is going to be interesting because, you know, he's back and he's playing against Sean Payton and that, and Joe Brady's an offensive wizard. He completely changed LSU's offense. And then he's went and got Teddy, who knows the offense that they run. So
I like that move for Teddy because, like, I mean, for a guy
I like Teddy Bridgewater. I'm a Vikings fan. I fucking like Teddy Bridgewater.
He's sort of been passed around, but now
the bad injury.
You know, he's getting the starting job in Carolina.
I want to see Teddy do well. I really like Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
I for one like the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
And I love CMC. Anyone who had in fantasy last year, like ourselves, really enjoyed having CMC as their running back. But one sad thing is that obviously Luke Kuechly's retired. I don't like that. Yeah. But I think there's a lot of things going on with that man. That
there's concussion worries and stuff there.
Like he's not old. Like he's not even 30 yet. I don't think so.
I thought he just looked fed up last year. I don't know why I got that like vibe off him.
That's happened with a lot of men, but some men have jacked it in because they see that they're under contract in a place and there's nothing
happening.
You know, there's nothing happening. Like it happened, lad. You love Megatron. Like it happened with him.
Yeah, just done with it. Like.
And obviously, Cam was cut. So.
Yeah, Cam's pretty much out the door. They brought in Robbie Anderson as well, so they've a bit of a deep threat there. So between him,
but you don't like Robbie Anderson.
I don't like Robbie Anderson.
He doesn't talk.
I don't like Robbie Anderson.
Why do you not like Robbie Anderson?
He's so inconsistent.
I think he's good.
At times he is good. But
he lost you 70 yards in the TD. Like.
The thing is that they're going to play with a big spread offense. They're going to have Anderson, DJ, and Curtis Samuel, and with McCaffrey, and it's going to be spread. That offense, as much as it. The one thing that holds it back is that they're probably, with the coronavirus and all, they're going to have like a shortened, preseason and stuff, so to get it implemented. But Joe Brady's an offensive wizard, and they're going to be playing with a big spread offense. Teddy can make throws. Like, he's not...
Yeah.
Teddy's maybe not the most powerful arm throwing downfield, but you don't have to do that in like a Joe Brady Saints style system. It's about spreading the defense out, having multiple receivers on the field, maybe like 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a running back, and they have the best... they have McCaffrey. So they have the best pass catching back in the NFL anyway. So the defense is all completely new. They brought in Derek Brown. I can't pronounce this guy's name. It's Gross Matos. He was from Penn State, an edge rusher. So they've completely revamped the defense as well. So the defense will probably be bad because they haven't They've completely revamped the defense, so it'll probably be all new and young and maybe get torched a bit. But the offense could be Tampa Bay could be an exciting watch because I think there'll be a lot of scoring when teams play them, and especially in the division that they're in too. Because do you know what I mean?
I mean, it's very much. I think obviously I've touched upon it as well, but it all, from what I seen, it was kind of like a sad sort of farewell to the Carolina that was sort of well known for the last.
Ron Rivera away too. Like.
It was kind of a sad farewell because Rivera was gone. Obviously, Cam was cut there, Kuechly retired, and Greg Olsen was gone now as well. Them were 3 main studs of the Carolina team. Obviously, you can come
Carolina
back to
were consistently sort of. Yeah.
So I mean, from my own personal thoughts, they're not nowhere near ready for a Super Bowl or nothing like that. They are near ready to be really relevant just yet,
but they're going to get a jump. They're going to get a jump in the NFC South. And I don't know what way it'll all end up, but they could be maybe Teddy Bridgewater does well for them. Maybe they decide to go and get somebody else. But they're going to be a jump on the rest of them because the other teams have aging quarterbacks and are still committed to winning now. So Carolina are getting the jump,
Oh yeah, they're fine in that regard, but it'll obviously, as you say, it'll be maybe a year or two yet before them other teams are sorted out.
Yeah.
I hate Dan Quinn.
I don't know how he held on to that job.
Why is he still in the job?
I
Why
do
is he
not
still in
know.
the job?
I
I
don't
have
know.
absolutely no idea. They drafted some O-line help. They've brought in Todd Gurley, and their offensive coordinator, I can't remember the man's name, said that we don't know what the status of Gurley's knee is.
Yeah.
That's frightening.
I don't know why Dan Quinn's still in the job. I just don't understand.
After
They have-
that
they have a
season
talented
last
team.
year.
Not after blowing a 27-3 lead in the Super Bowl.
Oh no, I get that, but like I mean, just
That was
last year
ridiculous.
that was painful watching any Falcons games.
Because me and Clive had back and forth pre-season last year, and I said I like a lot of players in their
Yeah,
defense.
you like the defense, yeah.
Desmond Trufant.
They just
Ah.
fell apart.
They were getting burned last year, left and right. I hate Dan Quinn.
There was some games they were playing teams that obviously had lesser quality depth on them, but they were blowing them out.
Yeah.
And fair enough, maybe Matt Ryan would bring them back to within a respectable score, but they're still getting bad defeats. Like.
Bad defeats. I don't know where Atlanta are going. They seem to me to be somewhere in the middle because I don't think they're as good as the Saints or the Bucks. And if you're not, I don't know where they're going. They're still like.
And as you say, like
Aye.
they've cut Devontae Freeman now, who obviously had injury problems. I love Devontae Freeman, but he's just had a few issues. They've got Gurley in now, and last year they had obviously Julio's always Julio.
Calvin really had a great year.
Calvin really had a great year, and Austin Hooper had a breakout year.
He did, aye.
So
But he's away to Cleveland now,
He's away to
so
Cleveland, aye.
he's away to Cleveland.
Although
so
I think they brought in Hayden Hurst from
they did, yeah.
Baltimore, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't write that down.
that's your team, Tom.
Apparently so, yeah.
And they brought in AJ Terrell as well, so they brought in some sort of secondary help, but they lost Desmond Trufant, so he's gonzo.
Tom's region, Dave.
The one thing that we said prior to this, we were like, do you want to do the AFC first? And he was like, oh, well, I'll just get that out of the road because, you usually call me a Baltimore fan. I just don't know. I think Atlanta are a little bit in limbo. I don't think they're as good as the Saints in Carolina, which is maybe the thing is that maybe Matt Ryan's younger, and maybe, well, Tom Brady doesn't want to retire ever. That man will be throwing ball when he's 70.
True.
But the Saints will have to probably go through some sort of transition next year. Maybe they think they can get in next year or something. I don't. Dan Quinn has to go, in my opinion.
I think the Falcons are largely going to be absent from everybody's minds for the next couple of years anyway, at least.
Because everybody else in that division, I have something like the Saints are going all in. Obviously, Tampa's going all in. Tom being there, and Carolina are rebuilding. So I'm excited to watch them three teams. Atlanta are just.
I feel bad for the likes of Julio and Calvin Ridley and the likes of,
Absolutely,
like even Todd Gurley. Like, I mean, I hate what's happened to him, lads. Like, I hate that, he's not the Gurley of,
2 years ago.
2018.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, they brought back
sad.
They brought back Dirk Cutter, I think, and he was in Tampa, and he ran the offense one year when Matt Ryan threw a load of touchdowns and stuff. So maybe they'll have a good offense again. That division for me has always been offensive based anyway. So maybe I don't know. Atlanta annoy me. We'll move on to the NFC West. I think it's maybe one of the most interesting divisions because there's a bit of everything. The Seahawks don't change ever.
No.
They're a very stable ship.
I love Pete Carroll.
Pete Carroll's a very stable head coach. Russell Wilson's a very stable quarterback.
They're just a solid unit.
They're a solid unit, boy. They're a solid unit. There's some issues around Chris Carson and Rashad Penny. I think they've signed. Who did they sign yesterday or the day before?
Oh yeah, there was
Was it Duke Johnson or somebody? No.
Oh, Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, they brought him
The
in.
same person. To me.
See,
And then they brought in your boy DJ Dallas. Like, I wasn't privy to him at all until I started watching, like, I don't want to sound like a coach, but I started watching like tape on him.
Yeah.
He's really interesting, boys. I like him. He is a stout little guy. Like.
I have a soft spot for Chris Carson.
Me too, lad.
He's a really good.
You have a hard on for Chris Carson.
I
He
really
flies,
don't.
he flies under the radar so much when it comes to the discussions of like the best running backs in the league.
He's a really good back, but then he had this strange phase last year where he had like 2 or 3 games consecutively dropping and really important times of the game.
Adrian Peterson at that point. Adrian Peterson, as great as he is, and I think he's like top 10, close to top 5. Adrian Peterson had a fumble issue. He used to.
That's Carson's biggest, Achilles heel right now. Like, I mean, if you could sort of wipe that clear,
I would take him in Pittsburgh.
That's the number one guy.
I would definitely take him in Pittsburgh.
The one thing is that they're both coming into the season with niggling injuries. Apparently, they don't know what.
I hear Carson's going to be all right for the season, but Penny, he's looking definitely
in danger.
Yeah.
The only criticism I have of the Seahawks and Pete Carroll is that I think they're obviously a run-first offense, but I think that they could definitely give Russell Wilson a bit more
Weapons.
Well, I mean, they've got Lockett and Metcalf.
Yeah,
like-
I don't mean I think it could just open the playbook up in a bit. They're very committed to running the football, and I get that. But I mean, Russell Wilson's a fucking brilliant quarterback, and it's just like, I mean, just give him a bit more scope to, make decisions himself, and maybe just open the playbook up a bit. Maybe be a little bit more pass. They're very run heavy. Like,
Oh yeah.
you
And
know.
I mean,
Russell.
sorry,
No,
go ahead, lad.
No, I was just going to say Russell Wilson's he's a very unique quarterback. There's not that many quarterbacks in the league that can improvise as well as he can. Like, do you ever see some of the plays he does where he breaks out of the pocket and things is not going well. The pocket's broke, he's already out of the pocket, and then like the pressure's coming, and like he'll juke and he'll juke and he'll juke, and then he'll run across and he'll throw across his body, and he'll find the man in the corner for like 20 yards. Like, he's so, like, I know,
Brilliant quarterback.
he's just so good at that. Like, and I really like Russell Wilson. Like, he's a really good quarterback.
They're too conservative when it comes to the throwing game. Like,
Yeah, that's what I mean. Just open it up a touch.
yeah.
You
And
know?
I mean, they've got people there.
Yeah.
Good people as well.
Maybe they will. They've got Metcalf as a big deep threat.
Like
you
Will
know.
Disley, he was real good until he went down last year.
Yeah,
They'll have him back,
Yeah.
if he is back.
I think he is, lad. I'm nearly sure he is. So the Niners got tanked in the bowl. They lost Joe Staley. They brought in Trent Williams, who's a brilliant left tackle. Although he hasn't really played in about a year and a half, so hard to know. But a brilliant left tackle, a beast of a man. So
Still a couple of years left in him.
yeah.
Do you think that Jimmy G will be not the quarterback in a year or so?
I don't know. I think they are a run-heavy team.
Like, if you had them in fantasy last year, it would have broken your heart.
Aye.
Because the running back committee, like, that's just
Mostert.
Shanahan. Like, Shanahan's brilliant. Like, I really like Kyle.
Brilliant offensive mind.
Really like Kyle Shanahan, and he's one of them rare coaches that sort of can do a lot of things with being more on the run side. Like, they can do so many things that, like, Jimmy G. Like, was there some crazy games last year where they were winning by like 14 points, whatever it was, dominating the game, but Garoppolo had thrown 3, 4, 5 passes or something stupid. Like, he hadn't thrown the ball at all. It was more or less all running plays.
I
And,
think
like,
for the majority of their playoff run, like his like statistics when it came to like actual like passes thrown, it was like shockingly low, like below like double digits.
they're not a good fantasy team to have on your players to have on your team because you don't know who's like.
Oh,
To
yeah.
be fair, Mostert had a good year.
Raheem Mostert had a great year.
Tevin Coleman broke my heart.
Oh, that's why I shipped Matt Breida out of my team straight away.
They brought in I can't remember his first name. It's Ayuk. Is it Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah.
I think it's Brandon Ayuk. They obviously lost Emmanuel Sanders, but Ayuk, he wasn't sort of heavily rated by a lot of the drafts is a crapshoot anyway. You don't know who's going to come off and who isn't. But Ayuk, they traded up. I think they traded up with us. They moved up, I think, to where we were. We had 2 picks, and we moved back. I think we were 24 or 25, and I think they traded up to draft Ayuk. And we moved back to the 30th pick. But yeah, they also drafted Javon Kinlaw as well, defensive tackle. Same again. Just I think there's not. They'll try and go again. Maybe the Super Bowl hangover. Who knows?
That defense by Robert Saleh, though. Holy flip! That defense was stacked.
Yeah.
They may have got rid of somebody. Was it? It's not DeForest Buckner, but somebody out of that.
I think it might have been DeForest Buckner.
Maybe it is.
I think it might
Oh,
be.
is it with Indy? Is it?
I think you might be right, lad.
They lost
I'm
him,
gonna
but
Google it because I can't remember.
like us boys watched so many games last year. And San Fran was always on around that. I know our time around 9:30 in the evening.
Oh yeah.
You would see the Rams games coming on.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not the Rams, San Fran games, but that defense was just.
Oh, they were an exciting team to watch last year. Like.
And you know what I like too? Like
It's Buckner away to the Colts, lad.
it's
But Kinlaw will replace him. Kinlaw will come in and replace him. Like.
they were stacked everywhere. Like did 4 or 5 of them men not make the Pro Bowl
Yeah.
alone?
They'll be interesting. They seem to be run heavy and then maybe ball hawking a bit in defense. It'll be interesting to see where Jimmy G goes. At least a little bit, if they can, incorporate the pass a little bit more in their schemes and stuff. Because Shanahan would like to do that, obviously. But
yeah.
An interesting one. This is a fascinating division for me, hey, because you've had 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl winner in this division in the last recent times. Like obviously the Seahawks won one. The Rams made an appearance, and the Niners were there last year. The Rams are in deep shit. I've developed somewhat of a little bit of a hatred of the Rams recently.
Really, I don't know. I love a lot of their players.
I've just thought that they were the dog's bollocks, right? Right.
Here we go. Here we go.
I'm going to get into
Here
it.
we go.
Do you know how hard it is to be
This is a hot
consistent?
take.
Do you know how hard it is to be consistently good in the NFL, right? It is a very hard thing to do.
Let me cut you down, David.
Go on ahead. Oh, I got it. It's very hard to be consistently good in the NFL. To be good year on year, right? And I think that the Rams started fucking feeling themselves a wee touch, The Rams started thinking that we've got an offensive wizard. Everybody was signing head coaches. The man up in, isn't it Zach Taylor or something up in Cincinnati was related to friggin' Sean McVay. Everybody wanted Sean McVay. He's a wizard. It's like, okay, everybody calm down. Give them time to work out what Sean McVay's doing and see what they're about, right? They traded all their draft picks. I don't think they have another draft pick next year. They haven't had a first round draft pick from 2017 or something crazy like that. They thought, we'll just get all this talent together, we'll build an offensive line, and we're going to be absolutely class. And now I hate the Rams a little bit, right? They just got a wee bit too big for their own boots, and now they're paying for it, and I really like that. Apparently Clay Matthews hasn't got paid. There was something around that. The offensive line got horrendously old because they just thought that, we'll bring in all these old offensive linemen, they'll be experienced, and it'll work out. It did for a while, and now it's shit upon, right? They haven't got many picks.
He's
right?
hot.
I'm going in the Rams a wee bit.
I wasn't expecting this.
They've annoyed me.
I thought the Cowboys would have been his hot streak,
Right, look. Everybody, if you were in school in, I don't know, upper sixth, whatever it is in the United States, and you had even spoke to Sean McVay, you were getting a head coaching job, right? Everybody wanted a bit of Sean McVay. Sean McVay's cousins were getting. It's not cousins.
Just to be clear, you don't dislike Sean McVay.
I'll do a wee bit,
Oh, okay.
Right? You thought you were the big dick, and now you're not, right?
In fairness, they are more sizzle now than spark.
Aye, Jared Goff, you had a call in his plays. Everybody was talking about Jared Goff being decent. Man doesn't know where the sun rises or sets. He needed McVay to talk to him through play calls. Yeah, I don't like them. No Gurley anymore. Brandon Cooks is gone. They drafted a guy called Cam Akers, and now I don't care. We're back. Tom spilled beer. We'll have to take a strategic pause.
Very sorry, lads.
I was in mid-roll of giving off about the Rams there. I hate the Rams. They got a bit too big for their boots. They deserve everything they get.
Well,
The players not getting paid.
I
have no draft picks, and I'm happy about it.
That year they went to the bowl, that regular season of that year, they absolutely were on the ball. I mean, they were playing teams out, and they were outscoring them. Todd Gurley had an absolutely outrageous year, broke the touchdown record whatever for a running back. Jared Goff
is awful.
I've stood up for Jared Goff in the past.
I won't do it.
Now,
Are you about to now?
Well, put it like this: you've got a stud running back. That puts a lot of confidence in your quarterback whenever you got to make a throw or whatever, or whatever you've got a running back like a healthy Todd Gurley. It means an awful lot for the quarterback, but he also had a lot of weapons around him too. They had a trio of receivers. I believe now Brandon Cooks is gone.
Yes, he's gone. So
Brandon Cooks has moved an awful lot in the last 3 years. He was
out of the three though. Brandon Cooks was never. I think he would always been dead last.
Well, out of the trio.
Yeah.
I have a lot of love for Robert Woods. Anybody that has a fantasy year with me, I'll have a lot of love with him, and Robert Woods is another one of them. Even though he hadn't the best year in terms of fantasy wise compared to the year before, but still very good receiver. He's still there.
Very consistent.
Cooper
offensive lines and pieces. Jared Goff's going to get sacked.
Andrew Whitworth, I don't know if Andrew Whitworth's on for another year, but Andrew Whitworth, I have a lot of respect for Whitworth. He's old, but he's very good, but they probably do need a bit more work there on the line. But in fairness, Cooper Kupp recovered very well from that injury that wrecked him a year ago.
He did.
He had a fantastic year, and I'm glad to see it. But where they go from here, I don't know, because, as you say, Clay Matthews had issues as well with getting paid and stuff, and they also had, was it Sue that had for a year as well?
They did.
The rest, Marcus Peters, is he still there, or was he?
He's been in Baltimore, isn't he?
He's about. You're right. Yeah, I'm going back a bit myself.
He went to Baltimore, I think, during the season.
He did, yeah.
I did. You're right.
I know this because I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan.
Exactly. At least now you know.
They drafted a guy called Cam Akers, and they've also got Daryl Henderson, so they've got a wee bit of competition in the backfield.
That
But
Henderson guy shit.
I don't know what to make of him. Like, he was drafted. I don't like the Rams. I've developed a hatred for them.
They've sort of got into a point now where it's like, what are you really made of in terms of, you know, they've got a good receiving core. You lose a running back like Gurley, but Gurley last year, you get into that season, there was talk of arthritis in the knee. It doesn't look good. I know he's at the Falcons now, but it's been shit how that's ended up for Gurley. Like,
Yeah.
you would think from all of us, from a perspective of enjoying.
Won me a fantasy title. He won me a fantasy title.
Aye, you would like to see Gurley have a nice wee year at the Falcons. Like,
I'd love to see him bounce back.
But yeah, it's strange with in terms of being in that division, I would say they're probably behind Seattle now and
The Niners.
And
I don't know. I just think that they've put themselves in that much behind the 8 ball that they'll end up behind the Cardinals at some point shortly too, because the Cardinals, moving on, I suppose, have sort of. They've got ahead in their draft. They've got ahead of themselves. They've obviously started their rebuild with Kyler and that.
That was a bit mental, I thought.
That
whole thing with.
They went and got themselves DeAndre Hopkins. They went and got themselves the next Larry Fitzgerald, the man that can play to whatever age he is because he's so versatile, a great route runner with great hands.
Best
and when
hands
he loses
in the league.
when he loses any speed, he will move into the slot like Larry Fitzgerald did. And now they have the next one. He even has the same haircut. Okay?
D Hop has the best hands in the league, hands down. Do you know what does upset me as well?
It'd be interesting to see what way they line up, with this big air raid offense and spreading the teams out. And, now they've got Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk. And
I play, Arizona is just loaded with wide receivers.
They are.
They actually have so many. Even boys from last year and whatnot.
Do you know what upset me as well? I know they traded him away for D Hop, but David Johnson. That man may be done. I don't know how he'll do it. He's a bigger upgrade than Lamar Miller is, Houston Texans, but I'm not going to go into the Houston Texans because we're not doing that at the minute for the AFC. But Kenyon Drake sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And now he's suddenly really relevant, and he's suddenly balling out there last year when they traded for him. I had him there. I know the Dolphins is obviously, the Dolphins is maybe they weren't that great at the time when they had him, but he really took off when he went to Arizona. But Kyler's had a lot of, in terms of the quarterback, Kyler's had a lot of people giving him plaudits and all this year.
I like Kyler.
I don't know.
I think he's undersized.
I think there's room to grow there. I liked what I seen because I was like you guys and maybe didn't really think that much of him coming in out of the draft. I don't know. I just seen something there last year.
Well, he's paired up. They've got the big air raid offense with Cliff Kingsbury. It's going to be spread out. They're going to be all action on offense. And then they went and got themselves the most interesting player in the draft. They drafted Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson, who's like a hybrid of cornerback / safety / linebacker. He can play anywhere. He's going to be an interesting guy to pair in their safety. They've also got Budda Baker back there, who's been pretty decent. Byron Murphy, and they still have Pat Peterson. So they've if their secondary could turn into maybe like a ball hawking secondary where they're trying to get picks and turnovers and stuff like that, and then they have this high powered offense. I don't know where they're at. They're probably still the worst team in that division, but they're going in the right direction. They're going to have a leg up on the other teams there. I don't know. They're probably bottom of the division. I think they're going to jump the Rams as far as teams in that division within the next year or two. Anyway,
well, I was just about to ask you. Does any of you think that this could be a team that's ready to go off?
The Cards.
Yeah, way ahead of prediction. In terms of getting D Hop in, they've got Kenyon Drake, who's
they're going to be exciting.
I know I just said there that Kyler I'm unsure of, but you've got D Hop in there now, and you've got Christian Kirk, who's obviously going to be another year in the league, settled down. You've got a bit of experience. You've got a bit more talent in the defense. It's a very stacked division, but they could surprise.
Even considering their win-loss record last year, they were still quite an exciting team to watch because they had a lot of close games and whatnot, and they were never ever completely washed out by anybody.
No.
They would come from behind. They would ultimately lose the ball game and whatnot, but I enjoyed watching the Cards. That's why I'm kind of high on them. Like, I mean, I'm not going to suggest anything like, they'll go to the top of their division or anything like that.
I think that's still Seattle's number. Like,
I definitely think, like, you're probably onto something there, Best. I have hope for them. Like, I think they could definitely surprise everybody coming this year.
It'll be an interesting one coming the next couple of years. Like, just that's an interesting division. There's 4 teams that are all playoff worthy-ish. Maybe not the Cardinals, obviously, but the Rams have been there recently, the Niners as well, and the Seahawks. So I mean, it's an interesting division. Like, we'll round out the NFC with my division. And we'll talk about.
Oh, sorry at today, Tom.
We'll talk about. Well, there hasn't been much for the Vegas, to be fair. We'll talk about the biggest controversy in that. There is what the hell are Green Bay doing?
That was an absolute travesty. Like, what was that?
Here we go.
What was that?
This is your hot take.
Like, no harm, right? Let's just settle down here.
You love A-Rod, right?
I do like A-Rod. Now, A-Rod can be a bit like Big Dev at times.
Hot and cold.
He can huff. He'll huff like. Now, the thing is, right, they've done it before with Favre and Rodgers. They've drafted A-Rod at a time whenever, like, Favre was there and stuff. But anyway.
A-Rod's a very angry man, though.
He is. But hang on a minute here. You have another Aaron in there.
Sit back and let you go off here because the Vikings are dead. Like.
Aaron Jones is an absolute stud. That man last year was absolutely outrageous. Like,
drafted AJ Dillon. Drafted another running back.
I really love so much of Green Bay's players. Like,
they had Aaron Jones. Now, Bainesy here had him last year.
He did, yeah.
And, like, he used to have a crazy matchup last year.
What did I?
Like, 150 points he got in your fantasy team last year, and he got, like, 148 or something stupid.
Yeah.
He lost. He had only one on to play with, which is Aaron Jones, and he put up, like, over, like, 150 yards and 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns, aye.
They still have, isn't it Jamal Williams or whatever?
Aye, and Jamal Williams was...
AJ Dillon.
Jamal Williams was like a complimentary running back to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is a stud. And then you've got Devontae Adams, who's very, very talented. And then you have Vantley Skelton, and you've got a few other guys there in receiving core who's, pretty darn, good compared to, you've got like men that can be relevant and can make plays outside of, the bigger stars in the team. If you go on to the defense, like they've got a good defense. Like, they've got a good defense, and they had the 2 Smiths, Tre'Davious, Za'Darius. I just don't get them draft picks.
The 2 positions on the team that you have the best players in, you drafted, and not only did you draft them, you moved up to get a man who now the NFL draft is hit and miss. There's players that should be Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, so nobody has a clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
But Jordan Love was drafted, and maybe he's good. I don't know. He wasn't, for me, one of the top prospects in this year. But you moved up to get him, so you used draft capital to move up to get him. And then the other best player in your team, in my opinion, is Aaron Jones. I prefer him over Devontae Adams, but that's preference. You move in and you draft a big bruising goal line back. So I'm really happy with the Packers draft. You've just fucked off one of the moodiest quarterbacks in the league, which I appreciate. Now, that could go one way or the other. He could turn out to be really angry and play really well, or he'll huff, which I'm betting on, and the Vikings benefit. I'm liking the absolute shit show that is NFC North.
For anyone that doesn't know Davy's quite sadistic.
Yeah, I just like the fact that the rest of the teams in my division don't have a note what they're doing. They don't have a note. Moving on from the absolute travesty. Right, I want to point this out to Matt LaFleur, and I'm not entirely sure, but I'm nearly sure that man was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee. Now, I'm no fan of Derrick Henry. You know this. I think he's game script dependent. If you get behind, you have to be ahead for Derrick Henry to be relevant, okay?
Don't chat to me about Derrick Henry.
But this is what I'm saying. You know that you have to be ahead for Derrick Henry to be relevant. If you fall behind in the game, you're not going to put Derrick Henry in the game, okay? This man, Matt LaFleur, was trying to split carries with Dion Lewis with Derrick Henry. Now, I'm no Derrick Henry fan, but Derrick Henry's better than Dion Lewis. And Dion Lewis was getting starts in games. And he's the guy that's now running the offense as the head coach.
You'll respect your rushing leader of the NFL for 2019, David.
Anyway. So, one shit show is Green Bay. We'll move on to Detroit because that's another thing. Matt Patricia doesn't have a note,
No,
right?
he does
Matt
not.
Patricia just thinks that he's Bill Belichick. He's running around with a laminated sheet and a pencil in his ear. Doesn't have a notion, right? Bill Belichick has a notepad for the pencil. Matt Patricia's running around with a pencil in the ear like he's Bill Belichick, and he's got a laminated sheet, right?
And he had that laminated sheet and pencil when
What are
he
you
was
gonna
running
do with
defense
pencil?
in New England.
What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do with it? What are you gonna do?
Scribble and wipe it off.
Nah, right. Not a note. That man's getting sacked next year, no doubt about it. Anyway, Detroit actually have a few good players. They
Carry
lost
on,
Darius
Johnson.
Slay. Aye, but sure, they went and friggin' signed DeAndre Swift, so that's good for fantasy. You have a nice wee running back, and then you go and sign DeAndre Swift. So
I hope
nobody
he
knows.
takes away all the carries.
But they'll be kept, lad, because they'll not take away all the carries. They'll put him in.
No, I know.
You know
That's
what?
going to be a 50-50 at best. Like.
If we ever do something on this about like fantasy stuff, it really annoys me that there's been all the good running backs that came out this year have ended up in a situation
yeah.
where they have taken
Bad
other good running backs. They've been on the same team, so they're going for this committee thing all over the league. Anyway, another topic for another day. Detroit just decided to sign all ex New England players. Trey Flowers, Jamie Collins, Danny Shelton, and
Is that Madola in there?
Amendola's there. They just think that they're the Patriots 2.0. They're not. They lost Darius Slay. They drafted Jeffrey Okudah. They signed a load of Patriots because they know the system and all that carry on. They'll be absolutely done. And then we move on to the Bears, which is another absolute
But you know,
nightmare.
for a team that, you know, as bad as they are, they won they won really strange games last year.
They have good players.
Like
have good players.
they went up against what was it? I'm pretty sure they beat Green Bay.
Matt
They
Stafford's
beat
good.
New England.
Yeah.
Like
Matt Stafford's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
They have a good running back. They have a couple of decent receivers. They have a sort of half decent defense.
Mhm.
And then Matt Patricia still doesn't have a note. And they'll still finish 6-10. There you go. 6-10. 6-10 is where they'll be at. And Matt Patricia will get sacked, and I'll be happy to see him go. The Bears drafted loads of tight ends. And by loads of tight ends, I mean at some point this year, the Bears had 10 tight ends on their roster. I literally read Bears. Right, this is what I read. Bears, Foles, more tight ends, question mark, no idea, exclamation mark. No idea what they're doing.
I don't understand.
Well, I tell you what, if they had have been, well, let's just go back to your point. Trying to project draft picks and see how well they do. I've said it before, and I'll give it Clive credit again. Clive was high on Mahomes a few years ago, and sure enough, look at Mahomes now. Straight up to Mitch Trubisky. Oh dear, he is terrible. Now, if you had picked Mahomes, the Bears would have won a bowl by now.
Or Deshaun Watson.
Or Deshaun Watson. They would have won a bowl by now. I'm firm believer in that. They have a great defense. They've lost a few players here and there along the way since. I mean, Clinton Dix was there.
Yeah.
He's gone, but
Amos was gone as well.
Amos was gone as well. But they have a great defense, and it's still fairly relevant. They've got a few good players in offense as well. I was big on Trey Burton a few years ago. Thought that was going to be.
Sure, they've loads of tight ends. Loads of them.
Thought that was going to be a thing, but obviously not. But then again, it's down to your quarterback as well. I like the Nick Foles move. Sit Nick's better than Mitch Trubisky though.
Wouldn't be hard, but he's not good. In my opinion, he's absolutely god awful as Nick Foles.
He's not great, but flip me, Trubisky's. Ugh.
All I know is that Cam Newton with half an arm is better than Nick Foles to me.
I thought he was a surefire bet for the Bears. That seemed to be all the reports.
Nick
It was
Foles has
Newton.
never been good anywhere outside 3 playoff games as a Philadelphia Eagles backup, then starting quarterback. Hasn't been good anywhere else. The Rams, awful. Jacksonville last year, awful, then hurt. He's going to be awful.
For me, it's kind of just going to be a wait and see kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
He didn't really get much of a chance last year in Jacksonville.
Well,
and then Gardner Minshew just sort of took over the
you're losing
headlines.
and Gardner's a gimmick at the same time too. He's got a
Thoroughly
small
enjoyable
arm.
though.
Oh, thoroughly enjoyable. I love Johnny Manziel. So we'll round out the NFC and the end of the podcast.
do you know what?
The Vikings.
Do you know what? Do you not think it's a
This is tailor made.
Oh,
I did it for you using the AFC. So I put Baltimore last.
Well, Dilly, tell us all about the Vikings.
It's
right?
pronounced Las Vegas.
The Vikings had an interesting draft. They had all the picks in the world, traded back in the first round to get more picks. They obviously had a rebuild.
How do you feel about your boy Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, good lad.
Is that a good enough replacement for Stephon?
No.
Or? No.
Justin Jefferson is a really good receiver, more of a slot guy, more similar to Adam Thielen than he will be to Stephon Diggs. I'm under the impression that Adam Thielen is as good as he is because Stephon Diggs is as good as he was.
Yeah.
Stephon's a better route. Adam Thielen was really good, but Stephon usually drew the heavy coverage of whatever defensive back it was, whoever was shadowing him. And that allowed Thielen, who is very, very good himself, to abuse whoever the secondary corner was, in my opinion. But Justin Jefferson had a bad year on the outside for LSU, then moved into the slot and had a great year. So he's more similar to me to Adam Thielen. But the Vikings are going to run the football. They had a lot of draft picks. They had to revamp their defense. Roads were wide open last year, Vesti.
The roads were open.
We shifted him. Everson Griffin is still could come back, maybe not. Linval Joseph is gone. The defense at its peak was in 2017, 2018, and the defense was the best defense in the league. It got old and hurt, so it had to be revamped. We obviously we drafted Justin Jefferson first till replace basically Stephon Diggs anyway. I think it was 22nd, the 22nd pick. We drafted Jeff Gladney out of TCU, and then Cameron Dantzler as well out of, I think it was Texas A&M, I think he was. 2 cornerbacks. So we've got Mike Hughes. Zimmer likes big physical cornerbacks, and now he's got 3 of them. So Mike Hughes was already there. Gladney and Dantzler are similar to that. They're physical cornerbacks. So it'll be interesting to see. They drafted a little bit of offensive line help as well, Ezra Cleveland, and they drafted Troy Dye as a linebacker. So I think the Vikings are set up to be pretty decent in the division again. The Vikings are consistently good, to be honest. We're thereabouts. We're usually always a playoff team.
There's one man on your roster, and I think I've texted you about it. Like, he's a guy I'd love to have in Las Vegas with us. Like, but Daniil Hunter, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that's a monster.
That guy.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
I love that man.
Aye.
Was he? He's like 6'8"?
Daniil he's got a better sack record or something as well than Khalil Mack over the same period of time as well. Daniil Hunter's a beast. Like,
he's a monster. Like, with being fair, I do quite like the Vikings without giving too much stick to Maisie. I do like the Vikings. It was good to see Dalvin Cook bounce back.
Good to see that, lad. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Kirk Cousins got a win last year in the playoffs.
Kirk, I'll just say this for anybody listening that doesn't know the story, right? Davey.
There we go.
Have that picture.
Please send that to me later.
Oh, I have it.
Kirk Cousins is not good for Davy's blood pressure.
No.
And a lot of times last year, Davy was stressing and all during fantasy, but even out of that there...
That was even close to Christmas time as
that
well.
Was close to Christmas.
Davy's always very hyped up at Christmas time.
Oh, aye. Davy stretched Christmas out to, April time. He likes Christmas time, drinks and whatnot. But
he was not happy that evening.
He was not happy. But he won you over, Dave.
Beat the Saints live.
Beat the Saints.
I don't know. I think we'll be good again this year. The only problem being with every team, I think we've got a lot of new players on defense, and Zimmer's a defensive coach, and they're not going to have as much time to implement that defense. But we'll run the ball and we'll play defense, and maybe they'll just what Zimmer did the year our defense was elite was that he just manned up on the outside and everybody went man coverage, and then he sent the house after because he knew that the corners could keep with the man coverage, so he just sent the house after the quarterback.
Aye.
We were blitzing and sacking the quarterback loads. If these 2 young corners, as well as Mike Hughes, can play man coverage straight up, as well as that defense did, then we'll have Daniil Hunter and men like that. They're just running after the quarterbacks. Like, so, I don't know. I think we'll probably make the playoffs. But
the only thing I would
the
say
Vikes are like consistently good year to year. It doesn't.
We had a shit ton of draft picks too. We had something like 17 draft picks.
Nah, you said silly picks, like silly.
Zimmer gets a wee bit of criticism as a GM. A lot of people don't like Zimmer. He hasn't hit in a quarterback because he just hasn't. He hasn't hit in a quarterback. But other than that, to be consistently good over the spell, I think he came in 2006, and the Vikings have been consistently good since then.
Yeah.
On and off, a couple of bad years here and there, but.
It's hard to do. You are a quality team, like year in, year out in the NFL. Like, I mean,
the only thing I was going to say is that you've touched upon it there, Tom. That was a point I was going to make. The Vikings have felt almost, in a sense, ready and very well set up in the last 3-4 years.
Well, Jermaine, me and you had that conversation that I was like, if we don't win one in the next couple of years, there's going to be changes.
The window's going to close. Like, it's felt like since me and him had that sort of talk, about 3 or 4 years now, that I felt, and as you said, there are a team that's been relevant. 2 years' time from now, I don't know, because you might have to make moves and stuff.
There's
like,
a bit of a transitional period.
like Diggs is already gone. So you have to make some sacrifices here and there. I mean, I actually do quite like the Vikings, but in terms of, it's hard to know what do you need to do in order to make that extra stepping block just to get you over that line. Like, maybe Kirk has had a lot of criticism, and last year maybe he won over a few doubters, including Dave. But it's a very tough division to get out of. You might need something, maybe that wee bit of experience, maybe that like Emmanuel Sanders type sort of player, added to your roster or something like that there, maybe to help you get over the line. But it all depends on your QB too, and obviously I'm also a firm believer in defense as well, and they've got a defense. If you can hold the team to under, as I've always said, 21 points, you've always got a shouting chance. You just need a good quarterback to get you more than 21 points.
Yeah.
But
I think we'll make the playoffs. We usually do.
Yeah, it feels like you're just teetering on the edge of a cliff, and it just takes like a small little thing to just tip you over, and then you will be there.
Aye.
But I don't even know what the hell the component is.
It is. It's hard to know.
Is it the QB? Like, it's definitely not your defense.
Well, the defense is going to get a wee reshake, obviously, but I don't know. I don't. We're always good. I think we just need the run of it. I think the year when the Eagles won it, I think that was one of our better years. I think there was the year Teddy got to the playoffs and we lost to Seattle. It was about 4 years ago. And then the year that the Philadelphia Eagles won it, the problem with that was that we won on that last second play. And me and Clive were talking, messaging back and forth. I said, the next day or whatever, I was like, the Vikings will find it very hard to get back up for the NFC Championship game against the Eagles. I was very worried. And straight off the bat, I was like, because of the way that game ended, it's very hard to fucking pick yourself back up and go again. And it was brilliant the way it ended, obviously beating the Saints, but it just felt like, for me, I was like, they're going to have a very hard time going again after the way that ended. It was so dramatic, but I don't know, I think we'll be good. I think we'll probably make the playoffs, but I mean...
Nah, you used to be fine.
The Vikings are very consistent.
Yeah.
No
doubt.
It's like anything. It's that NFC conference just on its own. There's so much talent everywhere you look.
Stacked from top to bottom,
like,
apart from the odd team.
He touched upon it earlier in the podcast. Was like the AFC has a lot of revamping, a lot of younger quarterbacks coming through, and they're getting up to speed. Whereas a lot of the vets are now on the NFC, like your Brady's, your Rodgers, your Matt Ryans, players like that. There, Drew Brees, maybe his final hurrah. But it's hard to know. Like the Vikings are not far away. They haven't been far away. It's just
hard to get over the line, boys. It's hard to win a Super Bowl.
It's just hard to get over the line, yeah.
But that was a good wee discussion, lads. We've did about an hour and 12 minutes there. We've got one more to do this evening. We're going to do the AFC, and then we're going to get in beers.
Not that we're not already.
We're ready on the beers. We're ready.
I'm feeling something going on here now.
This next one could be interesting. But we'll let you go with that. Obviously, we're on Spotify now. If that's where you listen to your podcasts, obviously it's a lot handier. So check us up. Downloading Spotify, all that good stuff. Download all the podcasts, even if you've listened to them. Do it. Makes us look good.
Get them downloads.
Even if you don't
creeping
listen.
up.
That's the only news.
We'll get you a free t-shirt somewhere sometime. Once we get over the coronavirus,
start making money.
Start making more money.
What do you call it? Yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed this NFL season. It's good to get back talking about it. Starting to do We'll definitely do like a season maybe prediction one closer to the time, something like that there. But this is just an off-season recap and their sort of thoughts on what happened.
I was just going to say, we before the corona...
Remember, I did so much write-up of an NFL team rebuild. I was taking the Dolphins and how to rebuild them. We had decided to do that in the podcast. And I put so much fucking effort in, was on spot rack checking their salary cap and who could sign, who could. Coronavirus hits and all the off-season happens and you can't do anything.
I think mine was the Bengals. I before Corona came out, we were sort of anticipating, we're going to do this sort of podcast, and once it comes around to this time, we'll do the draft, recap and stuff, and coming into the early autumn time, we're going to start looking at maybe doing some fantasy, which we probably still will do.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Obviously,
I'm going to give you all false information, so if I say anything crazy, it's to throw Vesty off.
He'll get to the final.
I'll get to the final and lose. Don't worry about that. There, I'll smoke it in the regular season, get myself into the final and lose.
But that was a good one. We've got one more to do here, so yeah. Thanks for listening, folks. That was good. I enjoyed it, fellas.
Be
Say
safe.
goodbye.
Good luck.
See you soon.